We now address the question as to what is game theory. Game theory is the science that studies games and takes games seriously enough to solve them. Game theory is a product of the 20th century, the brainchild of one of the century's greatest minds, John von Neumann. Von Neumann discovered one of the central regularities of the games, the solution for a two-person zero-sum game. Von Neumann was first and foremost a mathematician, as was his star student, John Nash. When John Nash was told that he has got a Nobel Prize in economics, his first reaction was, "Why economics? I am a mathematician." Although game theory began as applied mathematics, it has become a powerful mode of reasoning in business and economics, and is heavily used in other fields like formal political theory, evolutionary biology, psychology, and philosophy. The Nobel Prize winning macroeconomist Robert Lucas argues that the most important contributions to macroeconomics since Keynes have been the result of formulating macroeconomic problems as games and then solving those games. It is easy to see why this is true. In the heyday of Keynesian economics, economists designed policies for the government to use, assuming that the public's expectations, government policies of other countries, and the like would not be affected. This assumption is tantamount to assuming that the public and other governments are not players in the game. We know better now. Expectations held by the public, which show up, for instance, in the investment and portfolio decisions taken in the private sector, make an enormous difference to the outcome of economic policy. When the energy sector was deregulated in the early 1990s, that opened up all sorts of strategies for firms like Enron. Enron was playing a whole new game under a deregulated regime and grew into a $50 billion firm by playing that game in a fairly unique fashion. Another example which arises both in business and economics is called mechanism design. Suppose that the government has a certain goal in mind. For example, collecting 11 trillion rupees in government revenue through GST collections. And of course, they want to achieve that goal as inexpensively as possible. Now they need to design a set of mechanisms, foremost among them the proper tax system to achieve the goal. The mechanisms so designed lead to games, since taxpayers have strategies that respond to various kinds of taxation. If the government doesn't include taxpayer strategies in their mechanism, you can be sure that it is going to fail miserably. After all, mass transit riders will change their riding strategy to some extent when fares double, and a transit authority that ignores this will not set fares in a strategically sound way. In these two videos, we saw an introduction to game theory. In further videos, we are going to look at various kinds of games.